Welcome. Today I wanted to talk to you about living from your future self. This has been coming up recently with my clients, and I feel that it's important that I bring it up and do a blog/vlog on this to just talk to everybody about what this is, why it's important, and how to do it. So I'm going to start out by saying living from your future self is so important because we tend to get stuck in old beliefs, old habits, and past belief systems. And what happens is if you live from your past and you continue to do things the same way that you've always done them, you're never going to get a new result and you're never going to feel different. You'll continue to hold those same thoughts, and those thoughts create the same emotions, and then those emotions create the same results in your life. So to get a different result in your life, to become someone new, a new version of yourself, you have to think things you've never thought before. And it's so important that we understand and identify what we want our future self to be, which I believe I've talked about before, but maybe I should do something separate for that. But you have to know what you want it to be. So I'm just going to give you an example. 2012, heading off to grad school, just so excited about my industrial organizational psychology master's program. And I went into that program being like, I want to be an external consultant. I see myself in a high-rise apartment, in a business suit, walk into the office, downtown in a city, and that's just kind of what I saw. I was like, I want to be an external consultant working with a number of organizations, get a variety of experience in a variety of industries. That's what I want to be. Back then, girl was all about data and analysis, and I wasn't into like woo-woo stuff, self-help, all that stuff. So what a law of attraction, I didn't know what any of this was, but I thought about it all the time. Constantly when I was like at grad school, I was sweeping up the stupid ass peanuts at fucking Logan's Roadhouse. Why am I doing this? And it was because I wanted to be an external consultant, and so it was all worth it. The more I thought about that, the more I created it, and then by 2014 to 2016, I had become that person. And I didn't even like necessarily quote unquote mean to. That was my goal, my output, but I created that by thinking new thoughts that got me new results, and I didn't even know that was happening. It was just happening organically, right? So now that I know all of this, you can be much more intentional about it. So, fast forward to now, 2019, my future self is, being a bomb-ass businesswoman. She has her own life coaching business. She's helping millions of people with heartbreak and breakups. And she's a writer. She's a life coach. She's a motivational speaker. She has her baby girl, Maryland, curly blonde hair, and her beach house that's bohemian. That's what I see. That's what I see in my head, in my brain, and that's what I want to create. So to create those things, I have to think new thoughts that aren't necessarily something I'm thinking now, or else I would have already created that for myself. So living from your future self is, number one, getting very specific around what does your future self look like? What does she sound like? What does she look like? What is she doing? What is she surrounded by? Like all of that, what is happening for her? And then I've outlined some steps on the blog. So I ask you to write out a description of your future self, like specifically identifying those things that I just talked about. So what does she look like? What is she wearing? What surrounds you? What does it smell like? What have you accomplished? And then building a vision board to really get specific and be able to visualize what it is that you're wanting. Because the more you visualize, the more specific you are, the more the universe is going to know exactly what you want and exactly what to give you. And it might not look or feel or come to you in the same exact way that you're thinking, but at least you're telling the universe, like, this is what I want. And then I also talk about writing a letter to your future or your past self. So when you think about where you are now, so when I think back to like 2017, 2016, when I was like being an external consultant, I was becoming the role that I had set out to be. What would I have told myself in 2012? What would I tell her not to worry about and not to freak out about? What would I be telling her to think instead of what she's thinking then? And then you do the same thing now. So your future self, so down the road, 2023, right? So crazy to say. 2023, that Dorothy, that version, what is she thinking? How is that different from what I'm thinking now? And what is she doing? And what would she tell me not to worry about? And ask for that advice from your future self. Ask her. She's going to have the best advice for you, I promise. It's going to be so specific to you. And another example of this that I think is really interesting, and it was kind of mind-blowing for me, is when we're talking about things, even just debt was like my big example, because that was just like, this part was mind-blowing to me. So future Dorothy, who has no debt, someone who has no debt, isn't thinking about debt. She's focused on investing, learning to work with her money, having her money work for her. She's thinking about what is she like planning for her future. She's not thinking about debt or paying off debt. She's thinking about investing and creating more money. That's totally different from thinking about debt. And so like, that's just one little example, but you can apply that throughout all of your life. Like, what is your future self thinking? What is she doing? How is she creating things? And start making day-to-day decisions from her. So for example, just like a random decision that I had to make recently was I needed to buy a flight to go to my life coach training in Dallas, and I wanted to get together with some of my friends in Chicago. And so I was like trying to debate all these flight things and like, oh, what's cheapest, what's the best time, all that nonsense. I created so much drama in my head, and I was like, wait, future Dorothy down the road, who has all the money that she needs, who is clearly just like a successful life coach, values her time, and is a bomb-ass businesswoman, what would she tell me to do? And she's like, she would tell me to like cut the nonsense. What do I want to do, and what saves me time? Boom. And everything worked out great. I got the airline company that I wanted. I got the cheapest flight, even though it was just so crazy. It was so nuts. It was so great. So I challenge you to continue to think from your future self and live in her version every damn day, because then you'll become her. And it's so much fun. All right. Love you all. I hope you have a great day.